Welcome to the Word Stop. I'm so glad you could stop by. Here is today's word. What's that? This isn't a word stop. It's an Ask Mr. Duncan. Well, somebody could have told me. Oh my goodness, can it be true? Yes, it's a brand new Ask Mr. Duncan. Hi everybody, this is Mr. Duncan in England. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you happy? I hope so. I know it's been a long time and I'm a very naughty man for not making one sooner. But as we say in English, better late than never. So without any more waffling or prattling on, let's have our first question for today. Is it acceptable to use good instead of well? This question comes from Eugene Tokarsky in Russia. In formal English, we tend to frown upon or dislike the use of good, especially when describing the way we feel. The purist English speaker will insist on the word well when giving the positive response. However, in American English, the word good is commonly used in this way, and this has crept into general use in most English-speaking countries. So to answer your question, Eugene, it is acceptable to use good when describing your state of well-being. So if you are asked, "How are you today?" you may reply, "I'm good." Another thing to remember is the use of good can also mean to be satisfied or to have had enough of something. Would you like some more coffee? You might reply with, "I'm good." This means that you have had enough. This is more commonly used in American English. Thank you for your question, Eugene, and a big hello to you and everyone watching in Russia. A nice email. I have received a nice email from Regina, who comes from Brazil, but is now living in the USA. Regina thanks me for my deep and cultural lessons, and asks if it would be possible for me to make a lesson about colours, and how to use those words connected to each one. For example, how to describe the colour of a dog. If a dog is beige in colour, do we say beige? That is a good point, Regina, because when we describe something by its colour, we sometimes use different words for different objects or things. For a beige coloured dog, we might say that it is sandy in colour, because beige is more often associated with objects. The word sandy is a little more general, but from that word you can still imagine the colour. A sandy-coloured dog is the same colour as sand. Another good example is hair colour. We use certain words to describe the colour of a person's hair. General terms such as brunette for dark or brown hair, auburn for dark red hair, and of course blonde for very light golden coloured hair. These days there are many other artificial hair colours, each one having its own name. Thank you for your other suggestions, Regina, and your kind words concerning my lessons, and a special hello to you in the USA and all your friends in Brazil. A very common request. I have recently received several requests from various people asking if they can publish my videos as uploads on their own sites. So, once again, I will make this as clear as I can. My videos may only be shared by embedding them using the codes attached to each one. You can embed the videos, but you may not copy the lessons and repost them as your own anywhere on the internet. There is a fine line between sharing and stealing. You may share my videos using the embed codes, but you may not post them online yourself. The embed codes are easy to find, and it is very easy to share the video links on your site. You may not in any way rip my lessons from my YouTube channel and post them as your own. My playlists can also be embedded on your site. The copying and re-editing of my lessons is not allowed anywhere. There are even people pretending to be me and trying to charge people to watch my lessons, which they have stolen. I will never ask for money to watch my lessons, and I never will. My official YouTube channels are Duncan in China and Ask Mr. Duncan. Just two, no more. Embed them from these channels by all means, but please do not re-upload or re-edit them as your own work. Thank you.
Another nice email.
I have received a nice email from Giuseppe Manzoli, whose home is in Italy, but is now living in Scotland. Giuseppe tells me about his experiences and feelings concerning living in a new place. It is not easy fitting in to a new environment, especially when you are still learning the native language. As I know from my own experience of working in China, it takes a while to settle in. I'm glad to hear that you are enjoying the surroundings of Scotland, and it is so nice to read that you are enjoying my original English lessons. I guess by original you mean unique. Thank you for your message, Giuseppe, and a big hello to you all the way up there in bonny Scotland.
What is the most important skill in English?
This question comes from the Nguyen Tan Van, who lives in Vietnam. First, it is important to stress that all languages share the same basic skill requirements: reading, writing, and speaking. They each have their own functions. As for importance, it all depends on what you are planning to do with your language skill. Most language tutoring begins with reading. You expand your knowledge of words through reading. So at the start, reading is the most important. Then you need to be able to speak the words, to say what you want to express in whichever language you happen to be learning. So speaking is very useful as a learning tool and as a means of communicating with others. Of course, with speaking comes listening. Thirdly, there is writing. Although an important skill, it is one which, in my opinion, serves less as a learning tool. Having said that, oral English tends to be one which is left until last. So many English students are able to read English, but are not able to speak it, at least not with any ease. I would always encourage students to speak the language first, as they are learning to read it. The writing skill can be learned over time. I would always say that the main goal for anyone learning their language is to get used to speaking it as quickly as possible.
Idioms and expressions.
You know I love idioms and expressions, so here is one of each. First of all, an expressive idiom, blow your top. This is used to show that you have lost your temper. You have become uncontrollably angry. You have blown your top. He blew his top. He will blow his top. One of my favourite expressions is, you can lead a horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink. This expression means that it is possible to show a person their mistakes or faults, but they won't necessarily take any notice of you. Your good advice or valuable help may still, in the end, be ignored.
Another nice email.
I have received a nice email from Jiang Yuning, who lives in Shandong, China, which happens to be the place where the president of the school I worked at in China lives. Can you believe that in 2013 it will be 10 years since I first arrived in China to teach there? Doesn't time fly? Jiang watches my lessons all the time and wishes to speak English as well as I do. Well, with lots of practice and determination, I'm sure you will. Thank you for your kind message and a big ni hao to you and everyone watching in China.
Is it correct to use I instead of me when talking about yourself?
This question was sent to me by Rahava, who watches my lessons in India. It is worth mentioning that this is one of those classic English questions, similar to the one about when to use an apostrophe in a word, or the one relating to the overuse of exclamation marks. Once again, we must take a look at formal English, as it is often taught in schools. When using the first person possessive, the use of I in a sentence is seen as the most appropriate and correct. She and I are best friends. You and I must stay together. The use of me in these sentences is seen as incorrect. However, when conversing using everyday English, the rule is often broken. Me and her are best friends. Me and you must stay together. So the accusative pronoun me is frequently used. But if you do use it, then you must expect sometimes to be corrected. Once again, the rules of English change depending on when and where it is being used.
Time for some special hellos.
It has been such a long time since I last made an Ask Mr. Duncan episode, and during that time I have had so many new students join me, not only here on YouTube, but on Facebook too. Here are some of the names of those who have joined me for my lessons. There are so many of you, and I'm sorry if I have missed any of you out. 2012 will, for me, mark 6 years of teaching the English language here on YouTube. And without your moral support and messages of encouragement, none of this would have happened. So a big special hello to all of my students, past and present.
Almost time to say goodbye.
That is all from me for today on this new edition of Ask Mr. Duncan. Unless, of course, you are watching this in 2016, in which case it's very old. I will see you all again very soon. So until then, this is Mr. Duncan in the birthplace of English. That's England, saying thank you for watching me, answering you. And of course, ta-ta for now.
Mm.